So I think the first time I saw Descript, I don't even know how to pronounce it, the AI software that edits audio and video with AI, I knew it was going to be game over. There was an opportunity. One of the broker presented like potentially merging with a public company, which I was extremely excited about, but that was going to really slow down, and the broker recommended against that. And now that I know a little bit about mergers and acquisition, I know like why they didn't want to.
So today I'm with Gabe, who has a very interesting story. So he previously built a productized service called Podcast Press, and he sold this service, and then now he's running another agency that he actually purchased a few years ago called EastonDigital.com, which is a productized service doing paid media, mostly for e-commerce brands. And this is going to be an interesting story because this first talks about how he built the first business and how he sold it, and then how he finally found another opportunity and acquired a 7 figures productized service. So Gabe, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Robin. Appreciate it, man. Excited to be here.
Yeah, likewise. So maybe before we get into the new business that you acquired, can you give me a little bit of background, how you first started Podcast Press, what it is, and also, how you just got the first customers and everything.
Yeah, before I do that, I just want to acknowledge you because you were a true inspiration back then in the early days of Podcast Press and my productized service journey. So I really consume a lot of your content, and I'm really happy that I come back full circle and get to be on your show. So thank you for everything you do. And yeah, with the main business, I was actually at a podcast conference in Dallas, and I was fascinated by the podcasting world. We're talking about like 2014. This is pre-AI, pre a lot of podcast production agencies. And I saw a huge opportunity at the time. I was running a web agency, and I realized that I had everything that I needed to serve that market that was in just a very early stage. I saw the opportunity. We put a landing page together. That was the beginning of Podcast Press.
Cool. And so how did you find the first customers in that business after you put up the landing page online?
Yeah, since I had the web agency, I had a few connections already, clients and referrals, and I was part of a few masterminds. So I remember I put together a landing page, and I did something that was pretty unique that could truly help a lot of people in the productized agency. I know there's some other really good productized people that do this, but we offer a free trial for the first podcast episode, and that was definitely the best way to people to get to know us. So we offer that to a person that they had their podcast, they were sad, super overwhelmed with editing production. So we did the free trial, they loved it, and they signed up for the first month. And then we took everything that we could out of that client to, provide all the support, but also get all the testimonials, written testimonial, video testimonial. And that's how we ended up getting the second client and so on. And so that was like the process for the first few clients.
I see. So the idea was to make sure the client was extremely happy and then make a nice testimonial so that they could tell their friends or like their other contacts about service. And so how did it work then? So to go maybe from 0 to 10 or 15 clients, but you had up to 200 customers, I think, at a time, right? And so how did you scale past those initial clients to like 200 active customers or something?
Yeah, so I would say like in retrospective, and that's something that I'm looking to do now that I haven't done in this business yet, but the biggest thing was finding a really good client. Gregory Goodman he's actually a physician in Boston, and he started a podcast for physicians, and he was such a really good guy to work with, and he was such an ambassador of our services that built so much trust. And that helped me build a case study to say like, all right, if this guy can use our services, you can too. And it was such a good way. We developed a relationship with, back then, is one of the top influencers in the podcasting industry, John Lee Dumas. And he had a training for a podcaster, and I had an opportunity to meet with him. And I said, hey, man, love what you're doing with the training. You teach people how to podcast. What if we help them do it? Because the main roadblock is the editing, the production. Again, this is before AI. He really loved the idea. We did a pilot. Again, we had back then a few of those clients, solid clients. So he sent an email, and we had a ton of clients in just a few weeks. And then every month we will be getting referrals. That was an affiliate partnership relationship, and that really skyrocketed our growth. So that was more, JV partners. And then as soon as we got into the Facebook ads, this is also pre-iOS 14. We had a very simple ManyChat funnel where we were offering the free trial. So we scaled tremendously with paid media. And then we hired an agency, Client Boost, client with a K. They're really top notch, and they crush it for us. We scaled very heavily with them. And lastly, the other piece of the equation was replicating the affiliate partnership and going to other affiliate which this one I wouldn't mention his name because it didn't go well. And that was kind of on our end, since he was also a very well-known influencer that he's still to this day really good. His community was a different segment of the market, so it wasn't a good fit. We tried to help them, but they were more solopreneurs. They wanted to do their own thing versus the other target was more like business-oriented people that really needed the help.
Yeah, so I've noticed with affiliates, it's usually a small numbers of affiliates that bring all of the leads. Was it the same experience with your business?
Yeah, and I thought I was gonna grow. This is in retrospective, just thinking because I haven't think it's been a while. But I thought initially like I wanted to do affiliate marketing, and it did not work. But partnership it worked because they were not really doing it for like at least JLD. He was not doing it to make a few $100, a few $1,000 at some, after he got really good at sending us people every month, because, he made multi 7 figures at that point. And some months, every month he will make very, very good amount of money. And so he wasn't really just trying to chase a few $1,000 or a few 100,000 extra. It was mostly about helping these people. So that's the kind of caveat between an affiliate network or people promoting our service versus like a partner that truly want to help their community. Very big difference.
Yeah, that's a really good insight. So yeah, that's how you basically scaled to around 200 customers. But then towards like a few years ago, you decided it was time to sell the business and move to the next thing. So first, what was the reason for selling that business? And secondly, how did you go about selling it? What were the steps?
Absolutely. Great question. So I think the first time I saw Descript, I don't even know how to pronounce it, the AI software that edits audio and video with AI, I knew it was going to be game over. And I think that was pretty early. I think it was like 2018 when I tested it the first time. Very early, nobody really knew about it. And I was like, man, this thing is just going to disrupt the market. Also, there was a saturation of every single person that launched a podcast. They became podcast consultants. And the next step was like, we edit podcasts. So it was like a commodity that became, we went from like having 20, 30 really solid production agencies to now everybody will do podcast editing. So I knew that it was a time to pivot unless I wanted to really grow into like a bigger market like corporations or B2B. That was just plain boring. I did get a chance to work with a very large B2B client. It was Salesforce, the cloud computing company. It's a public company. We got that as a client. But to get them on board, it took 4 months to just get paid. It was like the first payment was like $10,000. There's a lot of bureaucracy. So I was like, man, that's a great opportunity, but it's a different business model. So I also got kind of tired of working on my own. That was another learning. And I love the traveling and being nomadic. And, back then I was single, now I'm married. But I was like, this is so boring not having somebody to share the wins and also the lows. There's all kind of crazy things happen when you're running an agency, a product agency, or any business. So I got bored of like doing it alone, and I didn't know I could sell the business. I learned about it at a conference that there was a business broker, and I got a valuation. I was like, man, this is great, and really happy. I was like, this is too good to be true. But long story short, I ended up listing. Took about 4 months to sell. There was an opportunity. One of the broker presented like getting potentially merging with a public company, which I was extremely excited about. But that was going to really slow down, and the broker recommended against that. And now that I know a little bit about mergers and acquisition, I know like why they didn't want to lose an opportunity to close the deal. The biggest interest of a broker is to make the deal happen, not to help me or help the buyer. It's just truly to make the deal happen. So that was not going to help them do that. That was going to help me a lot if I could just join a public company. That would have been a great experience. I ended up selling to a private investor. It was kind of like really odd how things went because I had a vision that he was going to be a mentor and I was going to join and we were going to grow together. That was not the case. I'm really happy now how everything went, but definitely I had a little bit of a fantasy that was not happening, and I'm glad he didn't. So
yeah. And so in terms of valuations, like, do you know like a range of how productized services are valued, and how does it work in the deal? Is it like cash upfront, like 100% upfront or 80% upfront and then an earnout, or any insights in that regard?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I don't talk a lot about our specific deal, but I can share kind of the mechanics of what I wanted. I wanted all cash up front, and that was naive on my part. If I wouldn't know what I know now, I wouldn't be able to say, hey, I want some cash right now, but I really want to get, an opportunity to grow. Again, that's the opportunity of like joining a larger company that you can then grow, and like the private equity, they call it like the second bite of the apple. So I can sell something, get some cash up front, but really help them grow it, and then get another bite of and then even sell it for the third time. That's what I'm learning now, but that's bigger businesses. The reality when you're working with a broker, valuations, they're very abstract. They can be 2x of net profit all the way to 5x or 6x for a productized service or an agency. But the thing is, buyers will only pay what they think they need to pay for the business, not what the broker says, not what I say as a seller. It's whatever somebody's willing to pay. I got really high expectations at the beginning. When I got the evaluation, I was like, this is even better. And then I knew that the broker was trying to get me excited to consolidate the agreement. And as the time went through, I realized like people were always going to try to negotiate and all that stuff. And it's part of the game. It's just all a game. But I'm really happy with it. I think it was the first deal. It's just a small deal that gave me the confidence to then do what I'm doing now.
Sounds good. And so after you sold the business, what did you decide to do next? Did you take some time off, or did you immediately start another business, or when did you acquire the new business that you're running now?
Well, crazy enough, I got very sick after that. Like my whole body, my nervous system it collapsed. It was also COVID. So it's a combination of different things. Like after I saw, there was like a few months where I was just so lost. And I'm not talking about like, oh, now I got money and now I'm lost and I don't know what to do with my life. Some of it was like that, but the reality is like I was living in so much fear and anxiety that I was eating my capital because I no longer had a source of income. So I only had capital. I didn't have a team. I didn't have clients. I didn't have a place to be creative, to make deals happen, to get inspired. And I was just really lost in that season of my life. And so my body got very, very sick, and I had like an autoimmune disease, burnout, and stressed out in all possible ways, medically diagnosed kind of thing. That was pretty interesting to see what happened in that moment. But long story short, after that, I spent about 2 years doing a lot of consulting. Actually, I got a job, and not a lot of people I share this, but I got a gig with one of the largest productized agencies that we know of, Design Pico, which is a huge inspiration, but I love the founder. I absolutely love the way he thinks. So I was like, man, I built this business because of his inspiration. He actually mentored me at the beginning on a one-on-one basis. So I say, I saw the business, I can join them and truly see what it looks like to see an agency. At that time, there's like 600 employees all around the world. They were doing, multi 7 figures a month. It's like, I need to be a part of this. So I worked with them for a year. Very interesting experience. I got to see a lot of the cool stuff from the inside and learn a ton about a productized, like a huge scale. And now they're not really a productized anymore. They're like more of like a, private equity funded. I think they raised over $25 million in capital. So they're going to grow to over 100 million. I think Ross is just brilliant. So I did that. And in the meantime, I was learning all about buying and selling companies. And that I ended up learning about what I wanted to do next. I ended up looking at probably about 120 companies in 2 years. I made about 4 offers for companies to buy, and then ended up finding this deal that I bought.
What's the current company and how did you finance it? Because buying a 7-figure agency, I guess it requires a lot of upfront capital, but you put a certain amount down and then you either get a loan or get some other private investors to buy the company. So how did you structure the deal, and what's the new contract?
Yeah, absolutely. So I found this deal through a Facebook group, and you believe it or not, it's a productized agency Facebook group, which the guy that founded that group, I think you're on that Facebook group, I forgot the exact name, but I found the founder of the owner of that company on that Facebook group. It's not your Facebook group, it's somebody else, but I reach out, it's a cold DM. We start a conversation. I say, hey, I'm working with a bank. I'm legit. I've been doing this for 10 years. I got all this experience, and that was it. And we jump on a call. Now, it took about 6 months because we were not working with a broker. So it was a lot of back and forth. And I ended up working with a commercial bank that supported me because there's, the SBA program in the States. They do not provide financing directly. The bank, in my case, is Huntington Bank. It's a U.S. bank. And they look at the business, but they also look at myself, what I'm willing to put. There's all stakes involved deal. So yes, I'm putting a lot of capital up front, but they're also becoming a partner and they do all the due diligence. So basically, I go hunt for deals. I present that to my partner, which is the business, the commercial lending, the banker, and they will then do all the underwriting and check that this is a solid company, that tax returns match, that P&Ls are clean, that everything is properly run. And if they give me the blessing, then I can buy a business. So I ended up financing that. And the deal structure was also like, he got all from as well. It was a 7-figure deal. And yeah, I think I'm 2 years in. I'm probably like 2 years away from like getting ready to buy another one. I may want to do a different niche, and I may want to do like e-commerce, since we now have the company I bought is a marketing agency. It's a productized service that we do Google Ads for e-commerce. So now the place, like, we have the engine to grow e-commerce brand. The thesis or the hypothesis now will be I can go buy other productized agencies and add complementary business, or I can buy brands, e-commerce brands, or both. So that's what I'm kind of learning and trying to understand more on a personal level. What will I enjoy doing the most, and what will be aligned with my purpose, and how can I build a team and support the people? So that's what I'm connecting with at the moment.
Sounds great. What was the biggest challenge when you bought that company? Because there's a lot of things in place. There's a team, marketing channels, but it must not be easy. Like just jumping in a new business, even if you have some industry experience, there must be some obstacles. So what were some of the challenges you faced when you got into that new business?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is leadership and people, right? So at the early stages of running a company, when I had the productized agency, the previous one, it was all about processes and systems. And you're a big SOP guy as well. And everything that you do and that you did and that you teach and that I follow as well, it is the foundation for building the thing, right? Building the engine. Once you have the engine, you need people to run that engine. And it's not as straightforward as running an SOP or an automation. Right? So when you do have everything run by AI, cool. And kudos to people that can build business like that. But when you get to larger businesses, the main takeaway for me so far, and the biggest challenge was like learning how to connect with people at different levels, right? And it's different when you build it from scratch. It's very different when you go buy a business, because it's all about trust. And people are like, who are you? You're also like, I'm 33 years old. All the employees were like 20 and younger. So they like, who is this kid? All these questions about like, am I going to get fired? So it's a lot of challenging conversations and, coming in with ideas and performance reviews and all these things. It was very challenging for me as well, like ups and downs and questioning, do I have what it takes to, lead these people or fire these people or take these really hard decisions, right? Make these really hard decisions. I think the challenge was like not having the right support team at that time. Now I do have more and more people, advisors, mentors, and coaches that I can go to on a literally a monthly basis, if not weekly. But that was the biggest challenge.
That's very interesting. Well, Gabe, that was a pleasure. Like maybe before we wrap this up, anything do you want to share next? Like any big learning you had in your productized service journey? And finally, where can we learn more about you and check out your new agency?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I'm singing the praises about productized agencies because it's what I do. I just continue to love the model even more. I never thought that that's what I wanted to buy, meaning a productized agency. It happens to be that it checked all the boxes of the business I wanted to buy. I now a big believer that there's not a one way to scale a productized agency. And that's why you have so many people on the show. They have all kind of different backgrounds and experiences. So for people listening, whatever you're doing that is working for you, just focus on executing and testing that out, because I may be sharing this expertise and you may try affiliate partnership or JB or pay media, and it may not work for you, but something else is working for you. So just go ahead and truly just balance out the learning and inspiration and being on, YouTube or podcasts, which I also do, with like doing and testing and getting clients. I think that's the biggest opportunity. And also, this may not be the ultimate business for you who are listening. If you're running a productized agency, is thinking like private equity, the ultimate product. We're talking about productized agencies and services. The ultimate product is the business. So like private equity doesn't treat the whole thing any different that we treat a product. Like this is a product, this is a physical product, and this gets bought and sold in different ways. So if we think as entrepreneurs and founders, we see the big picture like private equity, they do it, we will understand that our company, our first company may only be a company that we grow to 10 or 20 or 50 or 100K or $250,000 a month in revenue. And that's okay. Doesn't have to be $100 million company like Design Pickle is, but that's cool because that could give you the skills for the next thing. And that's how I'm seeing it. Now I'm getting into a bigger vehicle and I'm now tapping in. And now the next deals that I want to do, it's going to be rolling up other agencies that we can grow through acquisition. So that's all I wanted to share is like, it's not one way or the other. It's just whatever is working for you. And lastly, your agency or your productized company, it's the product, not you.
Yeah, and I think productized services are great launchpad businesses. Like you said, you learn a lot and they are great for cash flow, so you can build the next thing. Whereas starting right off the bat with a SaaS business, it requires a lot of capital and it's kind of difficult for cash flow. Well, thanks, Gabe. I'll put the links to your new agency, Easton Digital, in the comments. And yeah, thank you for taking part in the show.
Appreciate it, Robin. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Looking forward to connecting.